Hey guys, Hop here. I'm out at the range today with Mark LaRue's latest meme, the C-Note. This is a set of pistol-style iron sights on a big machine block of aluminum that you can quickly attach to an AR and theoretically shoot without having to zero them. I don't think Mark LaRue intends these to be used as backup iron sights so much as alternative iron sights. In order to understand them, you have to remember who Mark LaRue is. This is a man who makes the best two-stage trigger on the market and sells it for under $100, simply to troll Bill Geissele. This is a man who has been making the best AR handguards on the market for, I don't know, almost 20 years, and he doesn't even put them on his own guns. Mark LaRue is a strange person. The C-Note is a set of fixed iron sights for a flat top AR, sells for about $100 on Mark LaRue's website. As he'll point out, that is cheaper than a lot of sets of backup iron sights or other fixed iron sights. And that is true, which is a bit surprising because this thing has a QD lever. These LaRue QD levers, when you buy them for his other optic mounts, generally cost more than $100 just by themselves. Another thing to remember about Mark LaRue is that he loves taking guns apart and putting them in boxes. I don't know, maybe because he played the Hitman games, or given his age bracket, he probably saw the movie The Living Daylights, and he's really obsessed with the idea of a rifle in a suitcase. So you go on his website, almost all of his uppers and everything will have pictures of the gun taken down in a box with a red dot on a QD mount, a scope on a QD mount, the upper and lower separated, all packed neatly together. In theory, if the return to zero is good enough, that's no problem. I guess you could just take your scope off, slap a red dot on there, and be good to go for your close range action. Or if you can't afford an entire Comp M4 on a LaRue mount, you can buy a C-Note for significantly less money. The idea, I guess, is that you've got a precision-oriented rifle set up with a high magnification scope, but sometimes, you just want to plink some steel close range, or maybe you want to configure it for home defense after you get back from your long-range hunting trip. That's where the C-Note comes into play. Theoretically, this thing is essentially mechanically zeroed for 25 yards from the factory. It is set up for a right-handed shooter, but if you flip the rear U-notch upside down, then it'll be set up for a left-handed shooter. You can also adjust the elevation of the rear sight with two tiny little screws that are in the bottom of the whole monolithic aluminum block. The front sight is serrated, ramp, non-adjustable. So theoretically, you toss this thing on and you're good to go at 25 yards. Mark LaRue says you can put it on and ring a plate rack. We're going to put that claim to the test. I've got some small steel gongs set up at 25 yards. They're about 8 inches, so they're pretty much the same size as the steel targets on a plate rack. We're gonna see if we can hit them just by tossing this thing on a rifle. All right, so we got our steel targets set up. We got these 8-inch steel gongs at approximately 20-25 yards, so very similar in size to plate rack steel at an approximately similar distance you might shoot a plate rack at. This thing is mounted to a Joe carbine. I've mounted it with the recoil lug on the handguard because that seems to be the most comfortable position for me to get a good sight picture. If this doesn't work, we'll try moving it back completely onto the handguard. Shouldn't matter because all the clamping force and everything that's lining it up is still up on the receiver. This is just like a little recoil lug stop. So in theory, it shouldn't really matter where that little lug ends up as long as the clamp is on the receiver. I don't know. I'm actually a little bit hopeful for this because I've done a lot of moving scopes around between different ARs, and it seems like once I've got a scope or a red dot zeroed for an AR, I can put it on almost any AR, and it's pretty damn close. So maybe this thing is good to go. I guess we'll just try it. I think we're hitting a little low. I'm going to put this thing on paper later, but I really just wanted to try throwing it on and immediately shooting steel because Mark LaRue says you can. I think it's hitting a little bit high right, just as it's set up right now. The other issue with this, of course, is that there's a lot of air in these sights. They're kind of like pistol-style sights, and they're very close to your face. So there's quite a lot of an air gap, and they're not extremely precise. Of course, fast, I guess if you're really going to just throw this thing on and use it for home defense, maybe that's okay. I don't know about ringing a plate rack, though. Yeah, I think these things are reasonably on target. The biggest issue, of course, is just that you've got a pistol-style set of irons very close to your face. So I'm going to put it back up here because I don't think it really made any of a difference. Let's try putting this thing on paper. Okay. Oh, man. Well, this could be a little better, but it's probably going to be fine. All right. Quite the air gap in these sights. Paper at 25 yards, just going to shoot with a center hold on a B8 target. Let's go see where those are going. Well, there's our 25-yard 6-shot group. Definitely hitting a little bit to the right and hitting substantially low. All right, armed with the knowledge that we're hitting pretty badly low and very slightly right, I'm going to adjust my hold, see if we can do a little better. Yeah, I think after adjusting this thing for elevation, we would be close enough to hit the plate rack at 25 yards. Or, you know, if you get into the camp after a long day of hunting with your high magnification scope and you just need something for bear defense, I guess you could toss this thing on there instead of your big scope. Home defense, sure. I mean, all this stuff is very tenuous, but remember, this thing is just another in the long line of Mark LaRue trolls. These things were released, I think, like a week or two before April Fool's, and everybody was like, ah, it's an early April Fool's joke. But what was really funny is that a lot of the people who pre-ordered them as soon as they were available on the website received them on April 1st. So, yeah. Coincidence? I don't believe in coincidence, Mark. Let's try a bill drill. A Bill Geissele drill, if you will. I don't have a shot timer, so just imagine one in your head. At least a couple of those ended up on target. Okay, here are the results of our bill drill overlaid on top of the results of our 25-yard group. I don't know if you're supposed to shoot a bill drill at 25 yards. I don't actually know anything about shooting. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 and 6 are somewhere in there. Clearly, I forgot that I have to hold very far high above the target in order to hit the target. Oh well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, it seems we've been had by Mark motherfucking LaRue. There is some method to his Texas madness. This thing is very strange. Obviously, it's a gimmick. Obviously, it's a bit of a troll, but it also kind of does what it says it's going to do. Really, I think the intention of this is so you can use your one rifle with the big fuck-off scope at close range just for some fun plinking every now and then. I don't think you should ever use this thing for like home defense or even camp defense. But I guess you could. Probably the best attribute of the LaRue C-Note is that these little engraved LaRue panels are removable with just a couple of Torx bolts. You could very easily make your own custom plates. 3D printing, or if you're somebody who can laser cut, you could probably make them out of wood, various wood grains. I don't know. The sky's the limit. There's one billboard on each side, so you can definitely customize the C-Note to your heart's content. Well, thank you for watching, guys. Thank you to the friend of the show who sent me this to screw around with. It's not something I would have bought on my own, although I was very tempted. I think the person who did buy this was drunk when they did so, which seems to be a common theme. A lot of the people who were publicly admitting to have ordered a C-Note were couching it by saying, well, you know, I was drunk at the time. So there you go. If you find yourself drinking one night, browsing LaRue's website, and you happen to see this thing in stock, and you're fair handy with a 3D printer and you want to make your own little custom nameplates, maybe you should pick one of these things up. $100 bucks, man. All right, that's enough out of me for one day. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.